compassion faces disputes. Then you made 500 vows, praising you as pure, hearing your name. I prostrate to the compassionate master from sacred Mount Wutai. Manjushri blessings in my heart. Pray to Jigme Phunso. Mind transmission brings realization. The supreme, profound, and subtle Dharma, difficult to encounter in hundreds of thousands of eons. Now I see, hear, and receive it. May I understand the true meaning of the Tathagata in order to liberate all sentient beings. I ask you to develop a supreme and unsurpassed bodhicitta. All right. Next, as we continue, we will move forward to the section called the wisdom sword that destroys demons. This is an important part of our journey, and I encourage you to pay attention as we introduce this significant topic. The wisdom sword that destroys demons mainly discusses how to counteract traits such as greed, stinginess, anger, jealousy, and arrogance are all considered negative qualities that can harm both ourselves and our relationships with others. These 5 afflictions in particular are, in fact, carefully analyzed through the method of wisdom and realizing that afflictions do not truly exist in essence, and that generating afflictions is unwise. This is the principle now being explained. Therefore, I think that after learning this, it is indeed very meaningful, truly valuable. As for myself, whether it was when my teacher explained before, at that time, it also felt particularly good. I thought it was extremely meaningful and very rewarding when translating. I also felt it was especially good. For myself, this Dharma teaching resonates particularly well. So I hope that everyone present here with us today, after learning this, you will certainly do your very best to share and spread it to others as well. Because many people around us, in fact, do not really understand some of the Buddhist teachings. They are not very clear about them. They have faith. Of course, this faith is extremely important. If there is no faith, indeed, in today's society, over time, many different problems have gradually arisen. So some experts in the world always believe that faith is not just a religious belief. It has already become an important social value. A person with faith, at the very least, simply in their conduct and dealings in this life, on a daily basis, has a sense of cause and effect and so on, including various related aspects. It is very suitable for them to be good people. If there is no faith, people can do kinds of evil. In this society, many safety issues have also arisen, including health problems, because today, people without faith, he does it for money and for himself. They have no other core values or principles. So their destructiveness is also indeed very great. Therefore, we also believe that whether you are a person with faith or without faith, after studying these treatises inside, not just Buddhist teachings for overcoming afflictions, but also in the world, basic principles of being a person that have never been discovered before, or things that we usually, because of greed, anger, or stinginess, we end up endlessly running around, suffering, and being troubled in this sea of misery. But if we understand these principles, we will realize that many of our past actions were actually extremely foolish. We will understand such truth. So I also recommend that everyone study this well. After studying, analyze it further carefully. The things discussed within, because these words of the omniscient Mepam Rinpoche should be very easy to understand and accessible to everyone. See how he reasons things out. Principles discussed here, if you carefully and thoroughly observe them with focused attention, will be of great help to your practice. Some are not practitioners. These teachings are also very helpful for being a good person. Next, we will discuss this treatise further. Originally, I planned to cover this treatise in 3 sessions, but it's probably due to time constraints. I may need to condense the remaining content into 2 sessions. So some of the verses in the passage may be just a bit more than what we usually tend to cover each day.
Dakik sor shagu ban dayi yalam dewi hwara chungzidar nila gang dakcho na jima daksam siyi li.
Today we will mainly talk about jealousy first, just for now, and then briefly discuss arrogance. The verse simply goes like this: those whom I should care for, when they occasionally find happiness and well-being, if I feel jealous and resentful toward them, oh, who is it that has deluded me? As someone who has generated bodhicitta, in fact, for all sentient beings, I should try every possible way to help them, nurture them, and benefit them. This is my fundamental principle, and also the vow I once made. In the course of my practice as a professional, when other sentient beings, through their own occasional opportunities, gain some merit and happiness, then in that case, logically, I suppose I really should be very happy for them because they are like children I should care for. If others help nurture them, then I should feel happy about it. Someone else has done such a meaningful thing for me, but if I bear a grudge against them, not only do I not rejoice, I'm unhappy, but instead I become jealous and resentful toward these people, then in that case, I am indeed truly deeply pitiful. Alas, who is deluding me? Who in this world is tempting me? My mind must have been possessed. If it actually weren't possessed, if that weren't the case, I couldn't. If I were a normal person, I have vowed before Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that I would benefit all sentient beings in the 3 realms. But now it seems that when others start to do the same thing, to help the sentient beings I wish to liberate, not only am I not happy, I even hate them to the core. This is truly completely unreasonable because, as we all know, this jealousy actually doesn't have many real causes. The people around me, through their own efforts and relying on merit, they gain some wealth, such as money, fame, or happiness in their lives. In such cases, you feel unhappy inside and then try every possible way to drag the other person down. We often say people in the same trade are like enemies. For example, just take 2 well-known celebrities. If one of them gains a bit of fame or achieves status, the other celebrity will likely be unhappy. If there are 2 leaders, one has already been promoted, while other stays. He was unhappy again. 2 business people, if one is already doing very well and the other isn't making money, then the latter feels unhappy again. If 2 Dharma friends take an exam together, someone aced the exam while you don't succeed, you feel unhappy again. In reality, in such cases, what often happens is they do it themselves, hasn't taken away your merit. If they work hard themselves, why should we feel unhappy about it? In the past, we often said that women tend to be more jealous. This happens often when others know, they become unhappy and immediately get angry, as this really does happen. But today, there are a few men who are even more sensitive and jealous than most women are in many cases. Such cases are actually quite common as well. Therefore, in our daily lives, each and every day, we should also frequently observe what kind of mindset we have. Why do I feel jealousy? This is something we need to consider. As for jealousy, all ordinary beings basically are born with jealousy. 2 kids, one has a toy and the other doesn't. Without the toy is sad. A big leader, for instance, when one country cooperates with another trading oil or minerals, this can make many other countries unhappy. Nowadays, many of the world's major oil producing countries, why do they in general have poor relations with others? One reason whether it's on the scale of nations or as small as families or individuals. We ordinary people truly have this kind of jealousy. It doesn't do you any harm at all. There's no harm whatsoever. But as soon as someone else rises above you, you start to feel a little more upset and unhappy inside. If you're unhappy inside, then your actions will follow with a series of behaviors. So sometimes when we see the world in turmoil and unrest, we also feel some sadness. Actually, the resources that this planet provides for all of humanity are completely sufficient. But many of us, in order to occupy and to possess, to truly claim and hold on to things, to fully make them ours, or to seize other people's minerals, wealth, and resources, then it just keeps on happening again and again in the world, both large and small. Actually, the source of these wars, one is in particular jealousy, which is a part of anger and emotion. For example, stinginess is a part of greed, a branch of it. So for us humans, if we don't observe carefully, sometimes it might seem like this is a normal phenomenon, whether in your learning process or in daily life. When others rise up, we feel we have nothing. There's a saying, we have not worried about ourselves falling behind, only worried about others getting ahead. Not worried about our own decline, but worried about others rising up. If others are even a little bit better, we feel unhappy. Be aware of this. So here it says, I'm supposed to help others. But if someone else were to help others unconditionally, why do I feel unhappy inside? If I feel unhappy, I must be deluded, or there is something wrong with my mind. This principle is explained.
8월 활동 조르안 더글레 종즈 맙촉데 늘라 메짱 더글라나 체시 자명 토바 맷
The wealth and honor of others have not in any way whatsoever been taken from me at all. Even if these things did not exist, it would not make any difference to me. Other people's fame and wealth that you see around you, or simply all the perfections that others possess, virtues, glory, wealth, and so on, these things, if others do obtain them, not a bit of it has been taken away from me. Others gain these things from merit in past lives or through their efforts in this life. Usually that's it. Attractiveness from past life merit. If someone has wealth, it is the result of their efforts in this and previous lives. So it is not something that has been taken away from me. If it really had been snatched from me, then it would make sense for me to feel dissatisfied. But that's not the case. And even if this person doesn't actually exist, I will, even if the other person didn't have this wealth, didn't have this fame, didn't have this power, in reality, I still wouldn't be able to obtain them. Isn't this perhaps what is explained in the Bodhikaryavattara? When it comes to such personal possessions, they are given or kept in the donor's own home, in either case, I still can't get them. So why should you actually be feeling unhappy or dissatisfied about it? Really, is there any reason to be upset? Whether they are given away or not, what does it have to do with you? Anything that you can't obtain, if it stays in the donor's house, is fine. Or if you yourself don't get it, but someone else does, it really has nothing at all to do with you. So why are we unhappy about it? Actually, this particular kind of jealousy is in fact really quite powerful.
But in our institute in the past, His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok,
when teaching this treatise, said the only merit of our institute, whether it's a Khenpo or a Tulku or an ordinary humble monk, within our community you will find that there is truly no sense of jealousy, not even a hint of envy among each other. If there's jealousy, maybe two Khenpos would compete with each other and be unhappy. The two masters were not happy either. This happens often. But in our case, from the very beginning until now, and this should apply to all these great masters and eminent monks, ordinary monks. Maybe privately there's some minor feelings here, there or not. But for obvious cases on the outside, none have been observed yet. So this is also actually very important. Otherwise, a great many people in today's world really do actually go ahead and do this when they get something themselves. They are very happy, but if you can't get it, others will get it. They try every possible way to pull the other person down. Otherwise, they feel gloomy and unhappy. Such phenomena are everywhere, and everyone knows it. So ordinary people really have this characteristic. Many of us in our daily lives tend to believe that when we have something to truly enjoy in our lives, when we have some wonderful pleasure, we should share it and tell others about it. But most people are not happy about it. For example, when someone, perhaps a friend or colleague, goes abroad and wants to talk about their experiences overseas, or when they buy a nice car, or move into a new house, or eat something delicious, or with some people, let's enjoy the good life outside together. So among your friend circle, people around you, a great deal of resentment arises for no reason at all. They think, why did you actually buy such a nice car? Why haven't I been able to buy one yet? Nowadays, a lot of people often start to complain. You all know that some kids these days especially complain about their parents. Some kids even openly and justifiably say, if I can't be as wealthy as others, at least in my life, why did you give birth to me back then? You really shouldn't have brought me into this world. Many people have no sense of filial piety or gratitude at all. On the contrary, for no apparent reason, they see others' lives. Why am I really so bad sometimes? Or when we see others go to some amazing place, we start to complain. We think, why are you so very happy? You're so incredibly rich, so why don't we have that too? Maybe 90% of people feel upset inside. They think it's theirs. Some people, if they're even a little better looking, or if they wear some new clothes, and show online wearing this new dress. If you begin to start walking around the area, many people will have a good impression of this person. But as soon as they see someone else doing well, they start to feel unhappy inside. So for many of us, ordinary people, we are completely different from the sages. Jealousy. Even though someone else's success truly doesn't cause me any harm at all, not in the slightest. I just cannot stand it in my heart. So in this world where jealousy is especially strong, sometimes we really need to be mindful of our actions. Today I went and made some tea in a small grove. I took a picture of this teapot and I was planning to post it on Weibo. I thought some people would feel unhappy. Why are you spending time on such a nice grassy field while we're stuck in such a hot city? So because of that, I didn't dare to post it. I feel like nowadays, if people see someone else living comfortably, they might feel unhappy inside. Many of us don't know what others think. If I'm doing really well, others are also very happy. Don't say it's others. Even your own siblings might not be happy for you. For example, your younger brother or sister, though nowadays many people are only children. So now our audience doesn't know if there is, at this point, if you do, for instance, if the older sister is living happily, will the younger sister really feel happy for her? Not necessarily. If she gets a car, the other might think, why didn't I buy one? Why didn't I do better than her? And this feeling of jealousy, which we'll talk about more in a moment, it actually arises in a very small circle among family, others near you. That's where jealousy comes from. Not likely directed at foreigners or at people from all over the world. He may not know either. Who has which merit or that's impressive, you just don't know. It's only toward the people around you. For example, if two people are selling tofu and one does well and one fails, that person is particularly jealous and unhappy. It's the same if two people are selling spicy and sour noodles, whether it's people in the same trade or others. I was not happy when I went up there. This is also a kind of pattern. That's why even in our Dharma centers, as you may have noticed, it's important for everyone to sincerely praise and appreciate each other. This is extremely important. In the past, Elder Jing often said for the Dharma to flourish, monastics must praise monastics. He often said that if we monastics praise each other, it doesn't do any harm to ourselves. On the contrary, it elevates your character and improves you overall. This isn't just for monks. Some Buddhists and some secular people tried their best to sincerely praise others. Then for you, that's also a very valuable resource. But you should never show off yourself. When you show off, even the people closest to you may at times become unhappy. So in this regard, everyone should give it a try as well. If you don't believe it, look, for example, if you move into a new house and you post about it, maybe a lot of people will on the surface, oh, happy, happy, happy. But in reality, they're not happy for you at all. Your peers, same salary, the same identity, they all truly feel, why are you doing so well now? Maybe you did something a bit improper to get something truly. When people comment privately, it's often like this. So everyone should also really reflect on this.
Yondan Yamsum, Tarsum, Sardin, Gun Jirjang, Daka Yondan, Skarma, Chada, Jishiran de la Daxim Ke.
Even if others all absolutely attain the perfect ocean-like qualities of Buddhahood, it does not diminish virtues. So why be jealous? In other words, these people, even if all the others, every single one of them have already become something else entirely, completely accomplished with immense merit and have attained the Buddha state with ocean-like virtues, this merit of mine, not even a little bit, honestly, it won't cut off my own merit. So in that case, why should I be jealous? We really don't want others to in any way rise above us, do we? Even His Holiness mentioned this. For example, some great masters are very famous. Their wealth is complete and their merit increases overall. But in reality, for you, there is no harm at all. So if your competitor is poor and destitute, truly pitiable, then that also brings you no benefit at all whatsoever. So jealousy is a very strange mindset. It seems like others are really doing well in every aspect. Others are healthy, others are making progress in all areas. They are effective and efficient, and at these times you feel gloomy inside. Even within the same department where we share the same motivation, if some people do well, those who don't do well really especially resent them. It's not everyone, but there are few individuals. They wonder, why are they proactive? Why does this person always do so well? Why can't I do well? They don't reflect on themselves or criticize themselves, but instead just can't stand what others do. This is, in some situations, a form of jealousy. So even if someone attains Buddhahood in this world, the greatest merit, of course, is the perfect merit of Buddhahood. Actually, if someone attains Buddhahood, it doesn't do me any harm at all. Others have already become the world's richest person. It doesn't cause me any loss. If someone else has gained worldwide fame, including leader at the United Nations, it doesn't damage my own status in any way at all. If someone else is very attractive, like a celestial maiden or a heavenly prince, it doesn't harm my own appearance at all, honestly. So if you always just can't stand others, why is that exactly? Could you tell me? Those who are jealous and resentful of, isn't this also stated in the Bodhisattva's way of life? People who are constantly jealous and resentful of wealth and status in their mental continuum, do they really have bodhicitta? That's impossible, right? Because people who are always jealous, those who are always in a bad mood, no need to discuss bodhicitta. They might not even have, in some cases, compassion. So when we look at some people, for example, it seems their mindset is relatively gentle. They never feel jealous of others. When others say good things, they come from the heart. Feel happy and rejoice from the heart. Actually, this kind of mindset in people, for some, is innately very kind-hearted. For others, it is sometimes changed through later education situations. But I think if we can become just a little more that kind person from the very beginning, that would of course be wonderful. We haven't become that. If our own character used to be rather bad, or our behavior was quite rough, but later, through the teachings of Mahayana Buddhism, our hearts gradually change. This is also very good. So, in different environments, we should use Mahayana Buddhist altruism, pass to others. This is an important responsibility for every Buddhist. Mahayana and Hinayana Buddhism, there are still quite significant differences between them. Now, for example, in the context of Tibetan Buddhism, this is indeed truly the way that monks in their daily lives treat others, chanting sutras, praying for the dead. And it seems that monastics often cannot be separated from the lay community and society at large. The relationship between them is good. In Chinese Buddhism, it is Mahayana Buddhism, but after ordination, it seems there is little connection with one's family. Some families even consider this to be a shameful thing. Regarding society, the relationship is not as close as it is in Tibetan regions. For example, when someone passes away in Tibet, sutras are typically recited for 49 days. But in other places, including Theravada Buddhism, there are also such differences. Practices are non-existent. So, as followers of Mahayana Buddhism, the ultimate philosophy is altruism. If we are to be altruistic, we should often and regularly maintain good relationships with the world. Of course, if worldly relationships are too good, if one's practice level is not very high, you might gradually lose your spiritual aspiration. This is a potential danger. But generally speaking, for Mahayana Buddhists, one should always maintain good relationships with people throughout the world. Moreover, when others are suffering or in difficulty, we ought to offer help. For mental or spiritual support, we should use the Dharma to resolve their issues. This is the best form of Dharma giving. The Buddha also said that among all types of giving, the most meritorious are fearlessness giving and Dharma giving. Moreover, Dharma offering is expression of bodhicitta. So nowadays, some people actually think that monastics should not be involved in society, should live in the mountains and forests, practicing in monasteries. Actually, this is also correct. But generally speaking, this is a tradition of original Theravada Buddhism, where ordaining one severs ties with society and then practice in solitude by yourself, cultivating no self and impurity contemplation. Mahayana Buddhist monastics, of course, naturally, on the basis of their own practice, they do their best not to abandon sentient beings with whom they have a karmic connection. Otherwise, as you all simply know, the ultimate meaning of Mahayana Buddhism, it is mainly the 6 perfections and 4 means of attraction. 6 perfections and 4 means of attraction concern sentient beings. Likewise, among sentient beings, the majority are related to humans. If no humans, 6 perfections, 4 means of attraction with just ordinary animals or inanimate things. These practices of the 6 perfections and 4 means of attraction couldn't really be manifested. We need to understand Mahayana Buddhism's main goal is to benefit sentient beings. Among helping beings, to truly make progress, we should first address and consider human thoughts and attitudes in our society. This is really very important. As some Buddhist sutras also say, monastics also need to sincerely repay the kindness of lay people. But the gift of gratitude does not need to be money or otherworldly tinted possessions. Only the Dharma, the teachings of Buddhism, should be offered as a gift. This is very important. Where sometimes, this person has been very good to me, if treated well. Should you perhaps repay their kindness with money in return? Not necessarily. For them, perhaps the greatest way to repay their kindness is to give them a spiritual gift of wisdom that brings understanding. This is Buddhism's highest gift, which is the gift of wisdom. Gold, silver, and treasures, for many people who love money, Maybe this is, but the most precious and meaningful gift, this is gift of wisdom. So using these wisdom gifts of the Dharma to benefit and fulfill other sentient beings is extremely important.
Shnyimji Huarji Dagna Yang, Huarna Lakshim, Riverty, Shnimbati, Devlakba, Devshirte, Nyangji Wu. Those whose merit is overshadowed and suppressed by arrogance in their hearts, merit is the fruit of virtuous deeds. Because they slander others from arrogance, they are truly worthy of compassion. Here, it seems to be talking about arrogance. But in reality, it's also about jealousy. Because of intense jealousy, one can begin to feel overly self-important about oneself. As a result, one may have some merit. Example, I have money, I have a car, a house, so I have merit. Seems this merit has completely overwhelmed the whole person. But this kind of merit you have is also the result of virtuous actions performed in your past lives. If you become arrogant because of this, if I don't take others' jealousy seriously, in fact, such slowness and jealousy, arrogance and jealousy actually share quite similar mindsets. Because of jealousy, one is always unable to stand seeing others rise above them. Arrogance means one feels superior. So this kind of arrogance, this kind of jealousy can actually end up harming others. So the jealous person just now, or someone arrogant, is also quite pitiable. They are truly worthy of our compassion, as their experiences and challenges remind us of the importance of empathy and kindness toward others. Because generally speaking, we all know that jealousy and arrogance mainly start as motivations within the mind and then become evident and manifest through our actions and speech in our daily lives. Well, as for arrogance, or one might say more specifically the notion of pride, the letter to a friend describes 5 types of pride. They are knowledge, youth, lineage, appearance, and power. These words, his body and language, outside not showing, but he himself thinks, I am a person of great learning and knowledge. I am in the very prime of my youth. My lineage is so noble and distinguished. My appearance is without a doubt exceptionally and remarkably attractive. My power is so immense. Think this inwardly, but if it comes to jealousy and arrogance, then these will start to show in your actions and speech. If shown, such a person is pitiable. Why do I say this? Because the wealth and fame you possess now aren't due to your current skills or success. They come from causes and conditions you relied on in the past, virtuous deeds you performed. Now you are enjoying results of those actions. If you continue to be jealous of others and act arrogantly, then the fruits will resemble a banana tree, which are used up all at once. Once they are gone, there is nothing left at all. That's why in our world, these humble people were once arrogant and often jealous of others. In this life, they became people of very low status. Those who often served, help others, and respect others. These people in this very life have already become truly remarkable and great individuals. This cause and effect relationship is something everyone should understand clearly. So when we talk about this principle, in fact, everyone has some degree of jealousy. But for some people, their jealousy is especially strong. Even the slightest thing, no matter how small, can make them feel upset inside. And they start to, even just a little bit, we used to say revenge is the way to go, right? Something truly special. They want to retaliate. They're afraid of others surpassing them. They just have this kind of feeling. So when we actually look at jealousy, also need to observe and realize this. If we don't pay attention and observe, jealousy is very hard to notice. Many people who are especially jealous often say things like, that person is really jealous. Others even comment that you're in fact like the king of jealousy. You are unaware so-and-so is jealous. This person is really bad, very arrogant, and so on. So each of us should perhaps really take a closer look at ourselves, honestly. What is the state of greed in my own mind stream? Does this kind of greed exist or not? What is the state of anger in my mind stream? As for this anger, what methods do I use to counteract it? How do I deal with the stinginess in my mind stream? Right now, we're talking about jealousy. We also need to examine ourselves honestly. Only after such reflection recognize mind streams, the hidden 5 poisons and afflictions. This is truly frightening. So once we discover them in ourselves, we should change them. As ordinary people, if we find faults, we change them. Not necessarily. It's like someone with an eye disease. When they see a yellow conch shell, they understand that their eyes are diseased, but at that moment, your perception of the object doesn't change. Gradually, after seeing a doctor and taking medicine, and slowly convincing yourself with reason, this kind of chronic illness will eventually heal. So many of the deluded appearances that we ordinary beings experience are quite similar to this. Those who have surpassed this, those who have many merits, then why be genuinely jealous of those who are less capable or inferior? Jealousy, if we examine it with wisdom, it's actually quite strange. Because if someone with faults is in any possible way whatsoever above you in this world, there are still truly countless people with great merit. For example, I am a small entrepreneur. My competitor displeased with him. At our institute, there was a place that opened a hot pot restaurant. If a hot pot restaurant opened nearby, the two people who initiated the event were not very happy. People would say, that hot pot is delicious, or this hot pot is delicious. Later on, in several other places, more hot pot restaurants opened. They became even more unhappy. So many of them in this mountain valley, why are there so many hot pot places? But it's nothing special. There are hot pot restaurants all over the world. I joked with them, go take a look at a certain street in Chengdu. That whole street is filled with hot pot restaurants. So here, I've really only managed to find just a few hot pot places around. What's there to be jealous about? It's all the same. Human nature, in fact, if I were a business person and there was another business person next to me, I'd feel unhappy with them. If I were a Dharma teacher and there was another Dharma teacher nearby, I'd also feel a bit jealous of that master. If I were a singer, I would picture myself standing on stage, ready to share my voice and emotions with the audience. And someone else had a better voice, I'm dissatisfied. We often interact with people in the same profession. For people in the same field, it's actually rare for them to genuinely praise their peers from the heart. If you observe their words and behavior closely, you'll notice they often reveal a tone of dissatisfaction. This is a normal phenomenon, but from a rational perspective, one must admit to jealousy. If you look at it this way, in this world, there are many more people who possess even greater virtues. So you don't get angry at them. But why do you feel jealous? You get jealous of those around you who are less capable. For example, if you're doing business, such as running your own company, managing a small shop, or offering services to clients, there are Fortune 500 executives, but you don't feel jealous of them. A small local shop owner around you who is always nearby, someone you might see every day. Just now, there was a bit of a technical issue that interrupted my recording, so I paused for a moment to address it. I wanted to make sure everything was working properly. As I mentioned earlier in our discussion, as I previously stated, I have already brought up this point before. You don't actually feel jealous of those who are far superior to you in any way. So why do you feel jealous of these less capable people around you? For example, a person. Now, it's not that they have some workplaces in the world. Section chiefs feel jealous of other section chiefs. Principals feel jealous of other principals. Directors feel jealous of other directors, and Dharma teachers feel jealous of other Dharma teachers. So in that case, why is it that you don't feel jealous of those at the very top? For example, the president of a country or the national leader, for instance, or the world's richest person at this very moment in time, right now, or the highest ranking leader, because they have such great merit, you can't compare to them. Why is it you feel jealous of these less capable people around you? If you think about it logically, it's indeed the case. Jealousy is something that every ordinary person has. Why you so often feel jealous of the people around you? Many of us ordinary people today, as I just mentioned, why do we feel jealous? It seems to be about saving face, about pride. Someone bought a car, so why can't I just buy a car someone has home, so why don't I have one? This is the main reason as to why this is the case. In the past, when people like to go to war, if someone else won, why couldn't I go to the battlefield and so on and so forth? Every ordinary person in their own field has their own competitors, and then develops all kinds of resentment toward them. This is very unreasonable. Mambatana yondan janjikten nam tai shir sujik sadak karman shi chaktoki dakar blak. In this world, there are countless inferior and virtuous people. Whoever causes others to be inferior, jealousy destroys one's own fortune. It is often said that in our vast and truly boundless world, indeed, there are countless inferior people, ability in all aspects, comprehensive wisdom. Such a bad person who has bad fate are also especially numerous virtuous people. Those with wisdom, ability, and power are countless, boundless. But as for you, why is it that we often think, it seems like I can't catch up, so I get very upset. Who is it exactly that makes you, become someone with such overwhelmingly negative circumstances? In world, there is no such thing as God or certain people who deliberately monopolize all your opportunities. There's no such thing. In this world, many people with virtue and also countless people without virtue. But opportunities, no one has taken them away. No one has destroyed them. So if you are jealous of others, in reality, you are truly harming yourself. If your jealousy is truly strong, it seems like he is jealous of others. But in fact, your own abilities and influence will decline in every possible aspect. People who are especially prone to jealousy, for example, if you look for a job, after a while, I don't have a relationship. Every day in meetings, look worried and unhappy. They don't get along with this person or that person. And their jealousy is very strong. Their work efficiency is very low, and their attitude toward others is also very poor. Their sense of service is especially terrible. For people like this, no matter where you are, you won't be able to survive. It's the same in the world today. Monastics, lay people. Sometimes when we look at the people around us, some people are extremely jealous and have very bad tempers. They aren't happy, and others really can't stand them either. Others even see them as a kind of dangerous cancer, something that spreads, and are always feeling tense and on edge whenever they are around them. Or like they're explosives, everyone is afraid of them. When this person is in a group, everyone feels, wow, this person is just too jealous. Even the smallest thing, they blow it out of proportion. Really meaningful things. They have no comment, nothing to discuss or explore at this point. Meaningless little things of my own, they start to exaggerate and talk endlessly about them. So as for our jealousy, as I just mentioned, generally it might be women, and this is stated in many Buddhist scriptures and treatises. But nowadays, some men are also becoming quite feminine and are especially sensitive and responsive too. For example, when we have meetings, if there are a dozen people at the meeting, some people are, this leader, why don't you pay attention or care? He doesn't look at me. And when he does look, his attitude is really bad. Some people are especially narrow-minded and quite emotionally fragile. As a result, they end up living very unhappily themselves. And it's just the same when they're in the presence of others. But nowadays, in this society, these days, things have really changed into a different state. A lot of things are just not very normal anymore. In today's society, for example, if we take some time to compare the way we live now with the way people lived in the past, we can notice in recent years, the human birth rate has been steadily decreasing with fewer and fewer babies being born. Recently, some experts from Tsinghua University analyzed, saying that, for example, the number of people unwilling to get married is over 240 million just talking about China alone. Some of their analyses show that in another 75 years, which is the year 2100, by that time, it's very likely that the current population of 1.4 billion people will eventually decline to somewhere between 300 and 500 million. Humanity declined low. If that's the case, culture won't be able to be passed on and the Dharma won't be able to be spread. What was once such a large group of people, slowly it became this. So now a lot of people's anxiety, really, including about birth rates and marriage, many things are somewhat regular from the past. They're a bit different. So fathers and mothers are also understandably very anxious, especially about their children. Now, in our world, simply those with depression, autism, and anxiety. And if you add them all together, the statistics vary. But basically, out of every 20 people, there are one or two like this. Many children nowadays are unwilling to look for jobs and just stay at home every day. And this number is really not small because parents are also constantly urging them to get married, urging job finding, saying things like, look at how successful your classmates are. Why aren't you just successful? So sometimes when I interact with them, I tell them not to be so really overly controlling. If you control them tightly, the psychological pressure on the child just keeps increasing. As the pressure builds, it does seem that the job market is simply not like it used to be. In the past, it seemed like everyone lived an agricultural life for the most part. And although there weren't as many dazzling products as there are now, but back then people's basic livelihood was guaranteed. Whereas now it's true that many of the better jobs, those at the top, the ones with skills and wealth, have been monopolized. And nowadays, our lives and even the future are becoming, for example, take the issue of genetically modified farmland. A few years ago, many scientists in this field debated this topic for quite a long time. But it is true that if it really turns into GMO, then the seeds that are sown can't grow on their own. If famine or war were ever to even break out, then only a very small number of people would control the seeds. All the farmland becomes useless. And now in the fields, there are large areas of certain crops. And for some others out there who may be listening, it's said that some grain seeds are also disadvantageous for humans. On one hand, it seems that now technology is becoming more and more advanced. But on the other hand, because humans themselves are actually destroying many of their own resources, jealousy arises between nations. When jealousy arises, they develop all kinds of weapons that are harmful to humanity, including nuclear launches such as missiles, warheads, and related systems, and so on. As a result, wars and chaos break out between countries. The root cause of wars and chaos is a few old, stubborn-minded leaders. They sometimes even become jealous and harbor selfish motives, eager to protect their own vast and extraordinary wealth in the world around them. But in the end, they themselves are unhappy, and so are others. So ultimately, both oneself and others suffer. This is the actual situation of humanity today, after all, isn't it? Sometimes it seems that we ordinary people are both ignorant, and in all of our actions every single day, what we seek is peace and joy. But in reality, we create the causes of suffering. In this way, our thoughts and actions are completely at odds, which is also extremely painful.
대시르젠지 푸속라 척도 메프르 마즈지 우르 때르치는 예파전 신의 예랑가 곰.
Therefore, when others are wealthy, we shouldn't envy them, but we should rejoice as if a poor person had found a treasure, feeling genuinely happy for them. So to sum up the topic of jealousy above, as discussed, we should practice rejoice. After hearing this teaching, even for a moment, with Dharma friends, you are a layperson or a monastic, some people have a strong sense of jealousy, don't realize, I think it's pretty good. But their mindset is actually quite unhealthy. They often talk to others about other people's faults. So see if you can reduce this jealousy. If you had 8 pounds of it, can you now reduce it to 5 pounds or 3 pounds? How many faults of others do you point out in a day? Now, in your own mindset, can you make a slight adjustment? This is also very, very important. So As long as others have abundance, whether fame, wealth, or happiness in any aspect, not only should you not feel jealous of them, but you should feel as happy as a poor person who has found a treasure, feeling extremely joyful, truly and deeply happy, and genuinely rejoicing wholeheartedly and sincerely in your heart. Of course, for ordinary people, sometimes this is actually really hard to do. It really can be quite difficult to manage, because when you see others around you happy, you may develop some jealousy yourself. But after learning these teachings, now let's take a moment to see if we are able to together thoughtfully and gently counteract our own jealousy, whether it's when you hear about others or about their wealth. As long as others are doing well, you should also feel in your heart, if others are doing well, that's great too, and you should hope for their well-being. In all aspects of our lives, in our daily routines and experiences, for those close to us, maybe we don't really care about the bigger picture at all. For example, if you happen to be in India or Pakistan, let's say, there are many wealthy people, we don't feel much about it. But if someone close to you is especially wealthy, you feel unhappy. This phenomenon, jealousy, greed, and hatred, all of these tend to arise within a very narrow scope. Greed, you feel greedy for people or things around you. As for hatred, you see people close to you as enemies. Stinginess is also about the wealth you possess, unwilling to give it to others. Jealousy only exists in a certain scope. For example, in our Buddhist institute, it might occur among a few classes or among Dharma friends. If your Dharma friend was at the Buddhist institute but is now at a Dharma center, then a new object for jealousy arises and a new group of people has appeared. It turns out that you are jealous and unhappy. They have now all changed as well. So in our brief lives, harboring hatred or jealousy toward others or feeling arrogant ourselves is truly meaningless. I see we sentient beings develop these emotions out of ignorance. If it weren't for ignorance, some great masters of the past may have had some of these feelings at first, but later, once their minds truly became open and fully, completely clear at last, or after they became enlightened, there is no such realm. And sometimes when I read the biographies of some great monks and masters, I see that they were indeed very simple and pure. We also hope to attain such enlightenment, to be liberated from the prison to be freed from that cage. Our mindset would be different. Originally you practiced, but later you stopped practicing. Wasn't it like this with Venerable Jigme Gyalwai Nyugu? He was the great disciple of Jigme Lingpa. When he went to Lhasa, because Jigme Lingpa was from Lhasa, Jigme Gyalwai Nyugu came from here. Then he went over there, and it seems in his biography, he met Jigme Lingpa several times. Later, once at a sacred site on Zare Mountain, he began to practice under the warm golden sunlight. While he was practicing Thögal. He prayed to his guru. While praying to his guru, he missed his guru. Then he suddenly fainted. After he fainted, after a while, he regained consciousness. When he woke up, it seemed as if everything was truly gone. Have already realized emptiness. But at that time, he didn't realize it. He regretfully and rather quietly muttered to himself, I used to have something to practice, but now the object of my practice is gone. What do I do? He still hadn't noticed it himself. Later he thought, now that I'm in the mountains, maybe my practice is already complete. I'll go down the mountain. On one hand, I want to visit my guru to dispel my doubts. And on the other hand, if I have time, I want to go see my mother because my mother is over in Kham, which is very far away. So that was what he was thinking. Later, after some time had passed, he went to see Jinme Rangpa. Jigme Lingpa acknowledged that he had already attained realization. He had recognized the nature of mind. Later, Jigme Lingpa said to him, do you want to stay here with me, maybe just for a little while longer, if you like? If you stay here, you will become a great wise one. At that time, Venerable Jigme Gyalwai Nyugu said, becoming a great wise one is probably not something I'm very interested in. I have already just received from you main practices of Dzogchen.
and I have received them all. If I want to practice it, is enough. Also, I want to go see my elderly mother. Then the master seems to have stayed there for about a year. After the master agreed, he left Yuzhang and then made his way to the region of Kham. I saw my mother again. Transport was tough. He wasn't sure his mother was there. And he said, if my mother's there, I want to see her. Later, he lived in a place now called Zakhamaron, the legendary. Afterwards, as time went on, people started calling him Master Chamalong. So he stayed there for more than 20 years. When Khenpo Dewa was teaching us the preliminary practices, when he talked about great master Jigme Lingpa, he mentioned story. But later, this story was also mentioned in other biographies. I was thinking maybe in the past we were especially worried about having jealousy and anger. We would meditate to calm these emotions. But through praying to the Guru, if one truly realizes the nature of mind, perhaps even the jealousy and anger that we sometimes used to fear, these are all gone now. Of course, maybe this is like Jigme Gyaltsen Yugu and others like them, the exclusive privilege of very few individuals. Ordinary people, not always so. When it comes to Dzogchen, in reality, there's really no distinction at all between sharp or dull faculties. Ultimately, everyone can recognize the nature of mind. So ultimately, we hope that whatever Dharma we practice, we should pray to the Guru, the three jewels, praying to the Guru and the three jewels, even if you haven't reached such a high level, recognizing the nature of mind and so forth. But for one's continuity, change is coming. During the day, in your experience, things will feel gentler and not so rough. The way things appear to you, like a dance of magic, almost it won't be like that. If you regularly adjust your mindset, the whole world will feel softer, not so harsh, really, not harsh at all, honestly, or so fierce and menacing. It won't be like that. So let's take a moment to look at jealousy just for a moment for us to consider. If jealousy is destroyed, that is also extremely important for us. Next, we'll now begin the process of discussing arrogance in more detail together.
지 강레 다가 쇼고 냠나 다니는 평안의 연단을 담면데 길님 차르도 숑아 잠.
If you think my virtues surpass those of others, it's not because I was virtuous in the past, but because of temporary causes and conditions. If you think I have merit, for example, if I have money or I am very good looking, I surpass someone, consider merit. Even if they surpass others, you are not really like that. You weren't always, nor were you in the past such a virtuous person, because the virtues you have now are the result of temporary causes and conditions. That's how it is. Now, I see that some people who are a bit better looking, even the way they walk, the way they move and carry themselves, is noticeably different. But this person wasn't like that in the beginning either. When you were a child, you weren't like that either. And when you get old, you won't look that good anymore. So there's really nothing to be arrogant about. It's the same if you have money. When you came out of your mother's womb, you weren't wealthy either. And when you die in the end, you leave everything behind in the human world. It's just that you see the merit and wisdom you currently possess are only temporary. These are just temporary merits. At this moment in time, they are short-lived and impermanent. When His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok taught this, he mentioned it. When he explained this verse, he spoke very humbly. His Holiness said that when he was actually studying in Sershul before, Panchen Lama and Khenpo Kyuchak, it truly seemed that at that particular time, their merit was simply not as great as mine. His Holiness may have said this outwardly. At that time, Khenpo Panchen studied treatises there. Khenpo Kyuchak was also at that time debates on Dharma principles. That couldn't happen at that time. But later, they indeed both far surpassed him. His Holiness said they far surpassed him. Moreover, when Khenpo Kyuchak passed away, he died teaching and giving Dharma talks. So this was a case of surpassing others in a short period of time. So His Holiness meant that he himself had nothing worthy of arrogance. He wasn't impressive, nor is he impressive, won't impress.
When he spoke this, he did so in a rather humble manner. So for each of us, arrogant people, if someone has a few social ties, talk like it's remarkable. When they know a leader, they say have a relationship with this leader. They keep mentioning it again. If they know a boss well, they'll also keep bringing it up. For vegetarians, think I'm a vegetarian, and then look down on those who eat meat, saying all sorts of negative things about them. When it comes to arrogance, for the time being, within our own group, sometimes we might think we're pretty good at what we do. Pleased, thinking we're really something special, but actually it's nothing much. Well explained indeed, whether we are Khenpos or Khenmos or even Dharma teachers. We shouldn't think of ourselves as being so knowledgeable. There are always people above us, far more accomplished than we are. For ourselves, when you first arrived, you weren't really like that either. Once the Dharma King in class spoke to Khenpo Jigme Rinpoche, myself, Khenpo Sharab Wangpo and Khenpo Tsering Lodro, and about 5 or 6 others, including Tenzin Rinpoche, he told each of us, you people shouldn't. None of us weren't arrogant. But the Dharma King said, when you first arrived, none of you had any real knowledge of Buddhism at all. You couldn't even open your eyes. Your bodies were filthy and reeked of all sorts of things. Anyway, everyone talked a little, just for a moment. There was a deeper meaning here. I think that each one of us entered this world. If our parents hadn't raised us, we wouldn't even exist as we do now. If you're studying at a Buddhist institute or anywhere else without guidance from these spiritual teachers, you wouldn't be you today. So everyone, you must never be arrogant. I think I have a little less arrogance in my heart. I can't say I have none, but wherever I go, whether I have an attendant with me or not, if it's something I can handle myself, I try to take care of it on my own and not trouble others. Whether it's eating or doing anything else, if I really can't manage it myself, I ask others' help. There's just simply no way around it. I once saw Jemon Wangbu Tenzin Norbu, who was completely self-sufficient in his daily life until the age of 62. He didn't even have an attendant to boil tea for him. So many of the Khenpas and teachers in our institute should be under the guidance of His Holiness, teachings and the instructions and blessings of Mifam Rinpoche, have relatively little arrogance or display, none. Masters, leaders, as soon as they have even a little bit of merit, they start to show it outwardly. They show a certain attitude. So I think for all of us here, ordained or layperson, once you've earned merit or acquired some money or wealth, never be arrogant, nothing proud of. The merit we have is flawed. Compared to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they are truly insignificant by comparison. Everyone should understand this. It seems this will also be discussed later on. I rely on conditioned causes, and so do others. So who, if anyone, can actually prevent someone who is even more fortunate than I am from eventually arising or coming into existence? I depend on the causes and conditions of conditioned phenomena. So whether it's my merit, reputation, all of it is based on arising of causes. It's the same for others as well. Their merit and their wealth are also conditioned phenomena. So who, after all, is able to prevent those whose merit surpasses mine? I am a conditioned phenomenon, and so are others. Who can stop those in this world who are on equal footing with me? Or you can't surpass me. There's nothing I can do about it at all. No one has that ability. Long ago, when King Ashoka and Naga King compared, wasn't the Naga King very powerful at first? He consistently surpassed others in many merits. Later, King Ashoka frequently made offerings to the three jewels and to the monastic community. In this way, after some time had passed, when they were compared again, the Naga King simply couldn't compare anymore. Whether in terms of knowledge, wealth, or
power in this world of conditioned phenomena. Things rise and fall, and nothing is certain. You might be a Dharma teacher. Soon you may not impress anymore. You're notorious worldwide. Today, wealthy and high status, but you may not be impressive. So before our eyes, how many people have we seen rise and fall? Preliminary practices. Early life, someone is remarkable, but in the latter half, they may fall into utter misery. Common. So we really have nothing at all to be arrogant about, not as individuals or as a group. If we are still arrogant, it's honestly very hard to justify. Performs virtuous deeds. Deeds by one are indeed possible. Some time ago, was it June 12th? It was a plane crash of a flight from India to London, and tragically over 240 people died in it. One among them, he often does good deeds. He had taken care of 500 stray dogs and cats, right? Yet he basically suffered no harm and walked straight out of the cabin. Others didn't believe this, but indeed, in fact, his motivation might have been very powerful. What he did, over 200 people were to die. Why not death? He possessed a special kind of merit, completely different from what others could imagine. A family who seemed to have spent many years of savings, saying they were going to move into a new home, pre-boarding plane, posted the Weibo. His dream has come true. Today, they arrived in that new world to enjoy happiness here. But in the end, they tragically died on the plane during the flight. So many causes and conditions in our human world, the cycles of birth and death are truly worth observing. Therefore, there is no need for us to be arrogant. This is very important for everyone. Those more humble are not arrogant. But as soon as we have even just a little bit of knowledge, status, or wealth, even a small amount, for example, some Khenpos and Khenmos we used to know, in the past, they were indeed very good and humble. But after getting knowledge, that piece of paper, they suddenly transformed, changed, don't say a word to others. It was as if they felt they had already attained Buddhahood. But there's no need for this. Even if you became a wheel-turning king, nothing proud of. In this world, there are so many people with great merit. If we compare to them, we are truly insignificant. I do not directly perceive the continuum of sentient minds, so how can I assert that there is no one with greater virtue than myself? On the continuum of sentient minds, we have no way to measure or perceive it. How could we judge? In this world, there is absolutely no one who is more virtuous than me. Truly is something you simply cannot determine. Simple. But in reality, it's quite remarkable. Why did Mishba expel Atisha at that time? At that time, Tilopa appeared be ordinary, but in reality, the qualities within his mind stream far surpass those of others, ordinary people. Famous, wealthy, are not truly virtuous individuals. That's why the Buddha also said, only I can measure the mind streams of sentient beings. In the 10 stages, Vibhasha Shastra, it is stated, Buddha said that we are the energy beings. The Buddha said that only those equal to me are able to measure sentient beings. Therefore, we should not look down upon such people. We should not, under any circumstances, harbor even the slightest thoughts of belittling them. We truly do not know the mind streams of sentient beings. How could you possibly know among these people? I am amazing. Nothing. Maybe it seems like you have some power recently. I've noticed that you look much better and healthier recently, as if something positive has changed for you compared with others. You might be just a little bit superior, but when you look at the people around you, they're dressed in rags and they look unattractive and they can't even speak in a coherent manner, especially when they try to communicate. But some of them may actually be bodhisattvas. Some of them might become truly remarkable. In the future, it's possible. So we should never look down on anyone for any reason, and we ought to truly respect all of them. Oh,
and there's something else. Today I need to talk just a little bit more with you. We need 2 sessions. I was too broad. So now, just to clarify, I'll be a bit more concise.
등는든지 알게를 속 뉴몽 속지 존단장 계시 랑진 코르임 소르 등을 등어라 warmen show.
I possess arrogance and many other afflictions, drifting along with the endless waves of suffering in the ocean of samsara. Sentient beings drift in cycle of rebirth. I'm arrogant, and all those afflictions mentioned above, like greed and anger, and the many faults of these afflictions. And with these faults, with the endless, relentless waves of pain of samsara that constantly crash and flow, drifting in the vast ocean of birth and death, we sentient beings have no real freedom. We are all drifting in this great ocean, limitless. If you become submerged in it, it is truly terrifying. Not the ocean. Some time ago, not long ago, when there was flooding, I saw that in one particular car, after everything was over, in the end, there was only a single person left. That machine, called an excavator, a digger, used its bucket to rescue them 5 or 6 people. But such incidents are occasional. In ocean of samsara, if one is rescued, rescue needs a spiritual teacher. Otherwise, it is quite difficult. Arrogance, etc. Afflictions. We will always be drifting in the sea of suffering that is samsara, cannot gain freedom.
디시로션 로버버 용던다야 지양잔지 냠버로容易 추진의 디시르덕라 님반 페어.
These merits have conditioned nature suddenly dependent on other causes. These destructible phenomena, why should I become arrogant about them? What was said earlier is the same as this. We must not be arrogant. Why is that? Because the fame and wealth I have, these merits are in fact by nature conditioned phenomena. When causes, conditions arise. But when the causes are lacking, they will be destroyed. Today I may be Tripitaka master, but in the next life, I may not. Take Chulapantaka at that time. He couldn't even recite Om, Ba, or any syllable at all. He was dull-witted. But what was he in his previous life? He was a Tripitaka master, but stingy with the Dharma. So sometimes, if someone seems pitiable in this life, blameworthy in the pitiful, he was a bad person before. Sometimes when we see beggars and feel sorry for them, they did negative karma, which is why they become like this in this life. When we see some people in high positions, it is also because they accumulated some merit in their past lives. For example, when a Buddha appeared in the world, children made offerings to him, and some became wheel-turning kings. There are many such phenomena. So these merits are nothing to be attached to. They are conditioned, so can be destroyed. So why is it that I somehow become, over time, increasingly arrogant? Why should I become more and more arrogant? I shouldn't become arrogant. As it is said in the extensive Sutra of Adornment, all conditioned things are bound to perish. Everything conditioned will be destroyed. Just like lightning suddenly flashing brightly in the sky high above, there is absolutely nothing reliable about them. So now in Tibet, it's essentially the same situation as before in terms of the, maybe back in the day, for example, when tape recorders first appeared, everyone felt proud. They would show off in front of others. There were some flashlights. I heard about someone back in the 1960s or 70s buy a long flashlight. This flashlight looked almost like a rifle, and he would carry it in a bag and show it off to others. Last year, when we sold large prayer wheels, some people would carry them as rifles. I have a prayer wheel, but actually these things are very simple. We and our teacher, I saw His Holiness had a Lada car at that time, which cost 60,000 yuan. When His Holiness relaxed in the Ziking Mountain Valley, we thought, wow, this is nice. So the two of us stood next to the Lada and started taking pictures. Back then, before I became a monk, when bicycles first appeared out in the fields, we would go over to the bicycles to take pictures. Looking back now, all of this really does seem quite ridiculous, but it was vanity. and the form of arrogance, misunderstood conditioned phenomena. So for many things, all of us, we are not arrogant. Watch owners. When I was in the third year middle school, there was a smuggled watch. A person named Mr. Kang gave it to me. I became arrogant. I would often show it off in class and let others see it. But many people were unhappy, realized later. When I had that smuggled watch, others really weren't happy about it. Sometimes for us, it's the same. Nowadays, some people, for example, frequently buy a car or a villa. At times like this, they also become arrogant. But it's nothing special. All these conditioned things, you don't bring them at birth. You can't take them at death.
没读得啦，这人的用的是那个我们就是把这么的这边呢得了一共只是有的。
A person's merit can be like sesame seeds, absorbing the fragrance of flowers. But if it's mixed with defilements and impurities, what's to be pleased about? For people, merit can be absorbed, false, absorbed. Sesame seeds, when they're smoked with flowers, the flowers are fragrant, but if some other impure things are smeared on them, they won't smell good, they'll really stink. So when merit is mixed with defilements and leaks, there's really nothing for us to be pleased about. No matter how good we think it is, when His Holiness taught this, he also said the merit we have now is actually momentary, and there's really nothing worth being arrogant about at all. Practitioner think their practice is okay, sit in meditation. Can you actually sit still for an hour? And you think your knowledge is profound. Can you recite 5 great treatises? Can you recite the teachings of the Tripitaka? Scientists too can be very arrogant. Saying experts. Sometimes when we attend forums, encountered some celebrities, some scientists, wow, extremely, extremely arrogant, thinking of themselves as truly the best in the world. But in their own mental continuum, there might be a very small amount of merit. Compared to the merits of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, it's nothing. So whether it's the unique merits found within ourselves, these can be influenced and are mixed with all sorts of other impurities. There's really nothing to be arrogant about.
更那日子或者就是所有的咱们的公呢公，儿童学位他有的学了，怕了的那的且慢啊。
If someone's merits greatly surpass caste, looks, or wealth, countless times over, then we should see ourselves as the most inferior compared to them. When it comes to things like caste, appearance, and wealth, for these qualities, there's always someone higher. As we often say, there's always someone better out there. And there are certainly all kinds of merits. There are countless people with greater merits than ours. Let's reflect on this. And when we compare ourselves, we might be most inferior. For example, if you become arrogant because of your looks, there are many people in the world who are much better looking than you. And if you think you have a lot of money, then your money really isn't much either. In the past, there were some people among us, a wallet was bulging. Some had a little money, some had none, but they would stuff their wallets with tissues and still think of themselves as wealthy. Some people simply buy a better one. Camera would become very arrogant, but that's nothing. If you truly look carefully at the world, greater things than that. When building the monastery, someone said, "Oh, our monastery is the best." I said, "There's no such thing as the best. Just look at some of the tall buildings in Chengdu. Even one pillar may not be enough. When people have just a little bit of merit with flaws, they think they're really something special. But you really have no idea about the outside world. There are so many people out there with great merit. When you look at these people, you simply can't compare yourself to them at all. There's really, really nothing at all to be arrogant about, honestly." We have just one more verse left to sing, and after we finish this part, we'll be almost at the end of our song.
君之用的单把咱们当用推荐念在那，君们这项俺这里嘛慢把这个知道念。
Those without faults and full of virtue remain truly impartial at heart. always fair and balanced in their hearts, more than arrogant. Me, why should I be scolded for my arrogance? Here says the faultless, the noble beings who truly possess extraordinary merit. For example, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva and Shakyamuni Buddha. These noble souls, their virtues are truly, truly inconceivable. They possess perfect physical marks, 60 kinds of Brahma sounds, and so many other extraordinary qualities. In front of others, they truly abide in equanimity. We have met monks, masters, some spiritual teachers with exceptionally strong power from their practice and virtue. They are never arrogant, never jealous. Merit in mind streams is truly as vast as Mount Sumeru, truly immeasurable, absolutely, incredibly vast. Yet they never really fuss or worry about trivial or insignificant matters. But those with faults, those who are arrogant, why am I so arrogant? One really shouldn't be arrogant. Indeed, sometimes people simply just really cannot awaken to this themselves. A book called Reflections in a Quiet Window, written by someone from the Ming Dynasty. In this book, there are at times, very good analogies. He mentions a kind of fine wine from Zhongshan in the book. It is extremely potent and powerful. If you actually drink it, the effects can be very strong and intense, so you should be very careful. It can intoxicate you for 1,000 days. You'll sober up. However, when it comes to fame, profit, wealth, and sensual pleasures, once you are captivated with wines, you may never wake up at all for your entire life. So when we become arrogant, we are truly being very foolish. You might not awaken this your whole life. It's actually even more terrifying and unsettling than simply being drunk on wine. So in this world, as we can see, everyone should really try to be more humble. This is without a doubt very important. In the past, Venerable Jongdumba was an extraordinary person, yet he showed great respect to all monastics. If someone wore monastic robes, he would never criticize or point fingers at them. He was respectful. As lay practitioners, we should also try our best to maintain a pure mind and practice impermanence. Speak less about others' faults. In one's own mental continuum, if there is even a trace of arrogance, try one's best to destroy it. Among Buddhists, we often see these 5 poisons flourishing, particularly intense people. Their greed is heavy and their jealousy is intense, and their anger is also very fierce while holding prebits, while especially discussing all sorts of faults of their opponents. And if they have even a little arrogance, your voice is definitely better, more money, higher status. My husband at home, what? My younger sister is this and that. My relative is an official, mine is such and such. As if the merits of others have rubbed off on themselves, they speak boastfully from a person's speech. You can also actually see their level of spiritual practice. Study more Padmasambhava teachings. Guru Rinpoche hard advice. There are ways to counter, and everyone should study these teachings very diligently with careful attention. For us Buddhists nowadays, living in the modern world, this is still very important. We also frequently test ourselves at any time and use skillful means to help everyone truly strengthen their faith. As I mentioned in the last class, we hope monastics will still regularly stay connected with the Sangha. Otherwise, your spiritual resolve may easily be influenced or even affected by adverse conditions. For lay Buddhists, you should do your best to study together with good spiritual teachers and virtuous friends. Moreover, we should try our best every day or listen to 2 or 3 classes a week. Please don't let this be interrupted. In the past, we basically taught just the audio recordings alone, lets you hear one class a day for 10 years. So some people don't necessarily, you have to go to a special Dharma center in order to participate in the teachings. You can simply sit in your own place, study diligently, and in time, your mind stream will certainly transform. Then there is another, everyone really shouldn't be too hard on themselves, very self-deprecating, thinking, my afflictions are so deep, I'm so miserable. Don't be like that. Sometimes in front of others, after we've studied and listened to teachings, we should have a bit of self-confidence, really. Self-confidence is important. If you don't have it, in the end, it might even affect the people around you as well. Gradually belittling one's own mind. And eventually you absolutely won't even be able to lift your head up. You end up destroying yourself. This is a very, very frightening thing. In spiritual practice, everyone should, on one hand, feel happier, encountered true Dharma, which is something extremely hard to come across even in millions of eons. On the other hand, we are currently healthy and not ill. When all necessary conditions are present, everyone should also receive such important teachings. Moreover, for all practitioners, try not to simply spend time on offerings and wealth, spend time on this aspect. For us practitioners, material offerings are not the most important. The most important is Dharma offering. So everyone should also center around work really hard on meaningful things. All right, we'll stop here for today, just for now.
Om